NATO stands going to apologize for yesterday's warmongering, or we only demand apologies from the people who aren't bloodthirsty libs? Yeah, of course. There, we can now lower the nuclear apocalypse hype train now. Please and thank you. Yeah, I know. I just wrote that sentence. Ukraine war. Poland says missile deaths an unfortunate incident. Wait, hold on, bro. What the I thought we were doing it, man. I thought we were doing the damn thing. To be fair, though, even the fucking most bloodthirsty libs weren't in the chat going fucking crazy when I said that America will not do Article 5 for 2 Polish farmers. Normally, I would have a lot more people. I would face a lot more backlash for saying that. Even the most bloodthirsty libs, they didn't hit that as hard. Ukraine, a non-NATO member, attacked Poland, a NATO member. Okay, dude. Also, Putin simps in the fucking chat. Like, stop chiming in. Like, they were not. I don't think Ukraine was also trying to do a fucking false flag. That would be idiotic. I know you think like Zelensky sucks or whatever, but ultimately though, Zelensky did go ham mode, okay? He went John Hambo. The moment that the missiles fucking fell into Russian territory, he was like, that's it. It's done. Everyone needs to fight now. Nukes should be out. And of course, everyone else was like, hold on. Remember, you are the leader of Ukraine. Know your fucking place. And that is what has happened over and over again. Every single time Zelensky has demanded that the rest of the fucking world come together and fight Russia, because nobody wants nuclear holocaust. Nuclear holocaust doesn't make money. Nuclear brinksmanship can, but nuclear holocaust does not, because then everyone's dead. When everyone's dead, there are no profits to make. War is a racket. War is for profits. What the fuck? Ukraine is splitting from NATO's message. Zelensky insists the missile that hit Poland was Russian. Yeah. No. I mean, even if it is, they're not going to say that, okay? Which I don't think it is anyway. But here, let's keep going.
An alarming situation in Poland, our NATO ally, where a missile landed in a village, killing 2 people. Now, it happened just across Ukraine's border after Russia's biggest missile barrage of the war caused heavy damage across Ukraine. And this morning, Poland's president said it appears to be, quote, an unfortunate accident. And President Biden says it's very possible, he says, that the missile came from Ukraine.
I saw someone getting amped up about invoking Article 5 for Lithuania. Dying for Poland is one thing, but dying for Lithuania is probably the worst thing I can imagine. Probably the single least dignified way for a global nuclear conflict to start. I'd rather die for downstate Illinois. That's a good one. Bro, that is literally, can you imagine? Dude, I swear to God, if I die in an all-out nuclear war because the Eastern Bloc countries are fighting one another, I will fucking lose my mind. I will be doing extra reps as a fucking ghost in hell, because I know my ass ain't going to heaven, beating the shit out of every single fucking foreign leader and world leader in general. Are you joking, dude? No, it's not happening. It's absolutely not happening. No shot.
NATO are saying it was likely the cause of a Ukrainian response to a barrage of missiles and not a Russian attack.
Motherfuckers in the chat were like, Russia hit like a random grain silo on purpose. Like, there were people who were literally like, nah, man. Like, this is one of the worst parts about fucking covering this shit, is that like, I just can't, I can't just be like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you're being ridiculous any longer, because I said it too many times at the beginning of the fucking war. And, Russia did do the ridiculous thing. Vladimir Putin did do the ridiculous, insane thing. So now everyone's like, nah, dog, like, they will do that. It's a tactical grain storage facility. It's a tactical truck that they hit.
This is a Russian missile attack on...
Zelensky saying this yesterday seems so insane. Yeah, no, I mean... It's not that insane. I told you what it was. The reason why Zelensky said this is because it's the same exact fucking thing that he's been saying since day one. He's like, we want air support. We want a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Like, we want Article 5. We want NATO protection. He literally will use anything and everything he can to fucking get that, which is not going to happen. Now, is he doing it because he wants to make his people see that he's like in their corner fighting for them as best as he possibly can? Is he doing this because he genuinely thinks it'll happen? I mean, I don't think he thinks that there will ever be a moment where there's like an Article 5 situation, right? For a few hours yesterday, the consensus seemed to be that Russian missiles likely struck a member of the NATO alliance. That incendiary allegation hung on the word of a single anonymous senior intelligence official. If you wanted to make the argument that the official misinformation is far more dangerous than misinformation propagated by rogue actors, this example would be a good place to start. True. If you wanted to argue that respectable media outlets must get 2 or ideally 3 sources to corroborate serious allegations if no one will go on the record, this example would also provide a lot of support. Ultimately, legitimately, even if the Article 5 doesn't happen, you know, Zelensky gives us another $37 billion of weapons, right? And then he can say, look, they didn't give us this, but they gave us that instead, you know? I think the most important thing here is that nobody did anything stupid. People took a long breath and figured out what the fuck happened. Okay, here are some lessons. If you are a big diehard NATO guy, if you have a Ukrainian flag in your bio, a couple lessons for you to learn from this is that, one, war is a racket. Okay. And the moment that you're not making money off that, the moment that like nuclear brinksmanship turns into nuclear holocaust, like serious nuclear threats, notice how quickly America pulled away from that conversation. Understand that. Okay. Understand that America's interest in Ukraine is not about Ukrainian lives. Okay, so that's number one. That is definitely something that is fundamentally true that you should understand. You might personally think that like Americans genuinely care about the Ukrainian lives, but that's not the case. That's actually huge. That's huge to understand. I think like it's huge to comprehend because then it makes more sense. It makes more sense when you look at a situation like this and you go, oh, this is why America's not doing that. What could be a hypothetical Article 5 situation? If Russians deliberately target like American assets, not American assets, sorry, but like official American active members that are stationed in Poland or something. You know what I mean? They maneuver their resources that they don't even fucking have right now, obviously, or they never really did, as you can see, to push for like Poland or something in a way that would like comes in so quick that Americans can't even pull their troops back from Poland. In that situation, like their Article 5 will only be invoked if America feels like their global hegemonic power status is threatened, because Article 5 means all-out nuclear war. I also partially think that like American media is bullying Zelensky a little bit, and by bullying I mean like honestly covering what he's saying instead of just offering widespread praise for what he's saying. Because I think they want him to push for, more like a ceasefire, peace talk, cold winter's coming, you know? That's my suspicion. I suspect that the American State Department's interests in Ukraine rely on Ukraine being more open to some level of ceasefire, or at the very least, like something that is going to calm the tension a little bit, at least for the winter.
Russia fired more than 90 missiles and drones across Ukraine, plunging 10 million households into darkness, the government says. But Ukraine says it managed.
And now they're just like straight up terrorizing Ukrainians in Western Ukraine. That's the other thing. Like, this is just state terrorism, like blowing up energy, blowing up like their infrastructure, blowing up their power plants, and making sure that they're like have their daily lives and their normal their normal operations in Ukraine. It's really fucked up. It's a way as cheaply as possible to make Ukraine suffer. Anyway, Zelensky is insisting that the missile that hit Poland was Russian. The Ukrainian president contradicted statements by NATO, Poland, the United States, the UK, all of whom say it likely came from Ukrainian air defenses attempting to protect the country from Russian bombardment. Speaking to reporters, Mr. Zelensky said, "I have no doubt that this was not our missile. I believe that this was a Russian missile based on our military reports." The incident is still under investigation, but the Polish president Andrzej Duda asserted earlier today Ukraine's defense was launching their missiles in various directions, and it's highly probable that one of the missiles unfortunately fell on Polish territory. There was no suggestion that this was a deliberate attack, said NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. The new claims by Mr. Zelensky are likely to sow more confusion about the strike in Przodów. I'm not saying it right, but sorry. And could cause friction between Ukraine and its allies if they have opposing views on what happened. No, it won't. It won't cause conflicting friction between Ukraine and its allies, because Ukraine would be in a much worse position if the allies pulled back, and they're not going to do that, because Ukraine fighting Russia down to every last Ukrainian benefits Poland. It benefits America. It benefits everybody. Zelensky reveals that the Western allies have told him that Putin wants to begin direct negotiations. This comes after Milley and others in the Biden admin have voiced support for talks publicly and privately, and Sullivan discussed talks with Zelensky in recent Kyiv visit. Remember, this is actually a fucking huge deal. Zelensky said he received signals from Western allies that Russia's Vladimir Putin would like to hold direct negotiations with Ukraine. I received signals that Putin wants direct negotiations, he said. I proposed a public forum because Russia is waging a public war. Dude, stop. Do the peace talks, man. Do the peace talks. Zelensky also confirmed CIA Director Bill Burns' key visit Tuesday during Russia's missile attack. Yesterday, Burns sat in a bomb shelter, and then we talked to him. We discussed all the important issues for us. We know each other. He's on the side of Ukraine, Zelensky said. Zelensky told reporters that Ukraine would like Israeli air defense systems, that he had discussed the matter recently with Benjamin Netanyahu, who promised to consider them. Why haven't they? Zelensky told reporters that Ukraine would like Israeli air systems. Meanwhile, the U.S., in expressing full confidence in the investigation by Polish authorities, says it is clear that the party ultimately responsible for this tragic incident is Russia, which launched a barrage of missiles on Ukraine specifically intended to target civilian infrastructure. Zelensky doubles down. I have no doubt from my meeting the commander of the Air Force to Commander-in-Chief Zaluzny that it was not our missile or our missile strike. It makes no sense for me not to trust them. I've gone through the war with them. All right, let's watch this Fox News thing.
Retired Army Brigadier General Mark Kimmick. Good to have you on, sir. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Oh, here, this too. U.S. privately asks Ukraine to show it's open to negotiate with Russia. Remember when Zelensky was saying, like, I will never talk to Russia unless Vladimir Putin is no longer the leader of Russia? And I told you when he said that was a bad fucking thing to say, that was not a good thing to say, because that is, it's just not. You're not de-escalating in any capacity. Like, people will use moral terms in this situation and be like, well, what the fuck do you want him to say? Like, he's being bombarded by Russia. Like, yeah, you're right. But when you close the door on talks, no, it wasn't right after the annexation. Oh, you mean annexation of eastern territories? Yes, you're right. Sorry, I thought you meant like Crimea or something, or LPR and DPR, and not the additional territories on top of that. So saying that, like, oh, we're never gonna comply, we're never gonna do peace talks, we're winning wars in the Eastern Front. And the reason why I think America is saying this and doing this is specifically because war is good for money. War is a racket. You make money during war. You know how you don't make money? If it gets to a point where it starts interfering with the personal existence of Westerners, the people that they actually do care about. Western leadership starts feeling the pain. Western people start feeling the pain of the war that Ukrainians are waging against, against the Russian invaders. The moment that starts hurting the people that they do care about, they're going to turn around and be like, all right, fucking cut it out a little bit. What are you doing? How are we making money as a country goes through this war? Honest questions. I keep seeing bill after bill giving Ukraine money. Okay, here's how this happens. Here are you, tax dollar guy. Okay, here is you. You're working, and at the end of your fucking work week, at the end of every 2 weeks, you get some money. Okay, some of that money is taken from you. Okay, some of your in the form of tax dollars. Okay, that goes to the government. The government then takes that money. Okay, and gives it to R&D, gives it to fat government contracts with Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and the like, and Boeing. So some of that tax dollars make guns. Let's just draw it like this for now. But the guns we're talking about usually aren't Desert Eagles, obviously, but instead fucking big guns like rockets, missile systems, things of that nature. Okay? Pew, 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 pew. That's what they make with that. So your tax dollars make these guns. And then Raytheon is like, well, we got to sell these guns somewhere. Where can we sell these guns? Well, we could sell these guns during war. This is a good opportunity to take some of these rockets. Okay, here's a rocket. So then the government takes some more of your tax dollars and says, hey, Ukraine, we're going to do a lend and lease program. First, we are going to offer you some weapons. Okay, first, we're going to take some of the arsenal that we bought from Raytheon and Lockheed and them, and we're just going to give them to you. Okay, and then also we're going to give you some dollars. What can you do with those dollars? What will you purchase with those dollars? More of the rockets. So that's how this fucking works. Not only are we giving guns to Ukraine, but then we're also giving them money so that they can buy more guns and more of the Raytheon rockets. That's it. Ultimately, the people that make out like a bandit in this situation are these guys, okay? These guys. Raytheon and Lockheed. First, they're getting the tax dollars to make these fucking weapons to begin with. Then they're selling those weapons to Ukraine or giving those weapons to Ukraine that the American government has bought. Then America is also giving more money to Ukraine directly. And then Ukraine will then turn around and use that money to buy even more rockets from Raytheon and Lockheed. That's why war is a racket. And you, the tax dollar, your tax dollars are paying for all aspects of it. Your tax dollars are paying for the research and development. Your tax dollars are paying for the U.S. arsenal to be refreshed. And your tax dollars are also going directly to Ukraine so that Ukraine can then purchase more of the arsenal that still needs to be refreshed, which is why we're going to buy an even larger budget next year around from Raytheon and Lockheed, because we need to refresh our arsenal and we need to continue making more weapons so we can give it to Ukraine, which is buying the weapons with our money. It is an infinite money glitch, and you are footing the bill.